Hey everyone, welcome back to What the Function. I'm Carmen Electron, so glad you're here. Thanks for joining. This week we're talking about classes and object-oriented programming. It's really important to learn about classes and object-oriented programming because even though lots of boot camps are teaching JavaScript, there's still a lot of code out there that's using object-oriented languages like C# and Java. So it's really important to learn and to be able to navigate. And so if you've ever wondered what a class is, no worries, we're about to talk about that. So I popped over here to .NET Fiddle. If you've never used .NET Fiddle before, it's a really great place to go and just mess around with some C# code. They have other languages that they support too. What's really great about it is that you don't need to have Visual Studio, you don't need to have any kind of runtime or anything installed. You just are doing everything in the browser, which is really, really convenient. And it's just, I like it. It's a good place to go and practice. So we have our class right here. It is a person class. Before we look at it in a lot of depth, a class is basically just a structured way to store data. It gives your data some structure and it's very specific. So it specifies whether or not data is public. So that's whether or not it can be accessed outside of this class, outside of the brackets enclosing the class, or not. If it's public, it can be. If it's private, you can only access it within the class. We're specifying the data type, string, integer, things like that. And then we give it a name, obviously, that's how we're going to access it. And then we have getters and setters. So if we're going to talk about classes, we've got to talk about objects. If you've read about objects in C# or Java or object-oriented programming, you've seen that an object is an instance of a class. What does that even mean? Well, what it means is that the object is actually holding the data and the class is providing the structure to the object. So an object is going to have a name, an age, a favorite color, a job, any properties that we set, that object is also going to have. So that is what it means when you read that an object is an instance of a class. So let's paste in something to give our class some data. Go through this line by line. So notice here, if you're coming from JavaScript, you might not be super familiar with this, but we specified the type of the object right here. You could use var, and that'll still work, but a lot of times you'll see the type specified. And then we use the new keyword and we just call the type. And then that's it. We have an empty person object available for our use. And then this syntax probably looks really, really similar if you're coming from JavaScript. It is really similar. One thing that we can't do though, that you can do in JavaScript is, in JavaScript you'd be able to do something like this. You can't do that. And so if we hover over this, it says person does not contain a definition for birthday. And that's because you can't just add new properties to a class or an object. You have to have them specified down here. If we were going to add birthday, we would have to do it actually on the class like that. So that's one big difference. Another thing is, you can do this in JavaScript, but you can't do this in C# or Java or other languages like that. You can't just change types. Like, you can't make that into a string, for instance. If you hover over this, it says cannot convert type string to integer. You'd have to go and change it within the class to string. So those are some differences, and that is a class. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed making it. Let me know what you thought in the comments. You can also reach out to me on Twitter. I'm Carmen Lou. You can always email questions or suggestions to this email address right here. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and hope to see you next Friday.